But Arsenal, they've spent £260 million in this window as they chase that elusive Premier League title. And Carver, they might not be finished there. Mikel Arteta looking to the Bundesliga to sign another defender. What can you tell us?
Well, they're trying to sign Piero Hincapié from Bayer Leverkusen. Now, interestingly, he has got a release clause which is around €60 million, but he's made it clear that he wants to leave, he wants to move to Arsenal. So I think Arsenal have got a little bit of leverage there to try and get him for below his release clause. But this all depends on Arsenal being able to sell players as well, because they've spent a lot of money, but they haven't really recouped very much at all so far. They're in talks to sell Jakub Kiwior to Porto. That deal, I think, is a loan plus an obligation, could be worth around £25-30 million. I think if that goes through, then they would have a better chance of signing Hincapie. But it's really, really important that he wants to move to Arsenal.
OK, let's move on to Jamie Vardy, who still hasn't been snapped up since he ended his love affair with Leicester. No better man to speak to, of course, with Leicester and Vardy than you, Rob. Where could he end up then?
I don't know.
You don't know? I thought we had breakfast with the Vardys.
I'm sorry, but he doesn't know. He doesn't know, and neither do his representatives at the moment. Look, I think the thing you have to remember is that Jamie Vardy's a free agent, so he's not tied to this transfer window. If he doesn't have a club by the time we get to 7 p.m. on Monday, it's no problem for him. There'll be still clubs out there that didn't do their business, that need a striker, and he can move to any of them as a free agent.
Is that quite a good tactic for him then? We'll just let it run out.
He could have. There are several. It's been made very clear to me there are several clubs he could have signed for already. Some of those in the Premier League, a number of them in Europe as well before now. But I think he thinks that there's some bigger and better options still to come. We've talked about the clubs that are going to have to do some business late in the window, and they're not all going to hit their first targets. So an experienced striker like Jamie Vardy available on a free transfer, could be a good option for people. His most immediate option is Italian club Cremonese. They've made him an offer. They think it's a very, very good offer, and he's considering that. And I think the project there does kind of appeal to him. Cremonese, a bit of an underdog story in their own right in Serie A, and of course Jamie Vardy loves that. He's spent his entire career being that in his own mind. But I think he's going to assess his options as the window progresses. Him and his representatives are very relaxed about it. He spent most of the summer in Portugal, training on his own, keeping fit. He's ready to go. And there are a lot of options already on the table, and I think he'll take his time to decide which one he fancies when he gets closer to the deadline.
Great stuff. I love the fact I don't know. These guys know a lot, but if they don't know, they'll just say so.
Arsenal, believe it or not, are very much still in the market to strengthen their squad. Could Piero Hincapié be on his way to the Emirates? Bring us up to speed.
Well, Arsenal are exploring a deal to try to sign the Bayer Leverkusen centre-back. Arsenal's focus clearly is on departure still. They've spent around £250 million this summer. It's been an incredible summer for Arsenal, but they want to be in a position to act and try to sign this left centre-back. He's got 4 years left in his deal at Bayer Leverkusen. They clearly want to keep him. Erik ten Hag is the manager there right now. They've lost so many key players already this summer, many of them heading to the Premier League, the likes of Florian Wirtz, Jeremy Frimpong and Granit Xhaka. But Sky in Germany are reporting that the player wants to go to Arsenal and he's got a £52 million release clause in his contract. And clearly if Arsenal get to that money, then Bayer Leverkusen can't stand in his way if he wants to go and that clause is met in the contract. So it's something that Arsenal are looking at right now. I'm not sure whether or not it will 100% happen, because clearly Arsenal have to balance their spending with outgoings, and sadly for Arsenal over the course of a number of years they've not been great when it's come to player sales. This summer alone they've brought in about £10 million in terms of departures. A number of first team players departed for free in the summer, so it's a deal which Arsenal see as a great market opportunity, but there's work to be done for them to be in a position where they can make this happen whilst remaining compliant when it comes to profit and sustainability.
But Arsenal, they have the best defence in the league. I know he's got a lot of pedigree in Hincapie, but do they need him?
That's the big question, I think, when it's do they need him? They've obviously got Saliba, Gabriel, Calafiori can play there, Ben White can play there, so probably they don't need him, but with all the fixtures, maybe looking at previous years, injuries at key points of the season, possibly they just want to build the strongest squad they can and have everyone in the building. So maybe it's a tiny bit greedy going in for him, but, it could work out well, and they might need him down the road.
Do you think arguably now, even without Hincapie coming in, Arsenal have the best strength in depth in the Premier League in the squad?
It looks that way, yeah. You know, even the weekend there, they picked up a couple of injuries, and it doesn't look too daunting for them. They've Eze to come in, they've players who can come in and fill them voids now. So they're looking really, really strong. Maybe with another signing, even stronger. And you know, I don't fear for them getting a couple of injuries now. I think they can just kick on and keep getting results.
Yeah, suspect they will sell some players though before the end of the window, that's for sure, just to try and balance the...
Talk about Max Dowman's Premier League debut. Really impressive. He's been described as a special talent. He was exciting to watch, wasn't he?
Yeah, it was. It was brilliant. And I think when you've got a player who's that good, we think of some of the greatest players we've seen. You know, they always get that debut really early if they're really, really special. I mean, the youngest I can remember at Liverpool was Michael Owen. He was 17. The majority of us, when we got into the team, were 18, but he was 17 because he was different as a young player. But I can't believe, you know, someone of that young is playing Premier League
He looks
football.
young as well, doesn't he?
Yeah, I mean, the actual highlight was nothing he did on the pitch. It was Gary Neville in commentary when he said, he was laughing and joking that he got really serious and said it is really important that he still does his studies at school. Which I thought
went into dad mode.
Yeah, exactly. He went
Love
from
that.
really jokey to really serious. But listen, that lad will need nurturing. You know, Mikel Arteta's got experience in that. You think of the younger players who've come into Arsenal in the last couple of years as well, who've done really well. So I think he's at the best place. The only problem Arsenal have got is every young player, and maybe the best player, they all play in the same position. So you've got Saka, you've got him coming through, probably a few years away from being a first choice striker. Nwaneri as well is a similar sort of position. Odegaard's in that role as well. So that's probably the only downside. But listen, it's fantastic for him and fantastic for the future of Arsenal.
Yeah, for sure. Plenty of positives then for Arsenal. You mentioned Odegaard and Saka, a couple of injuries from the weekend. In particular, Saka's one we're hearing that may not be as bad as we first thought. But in terms of Saka's fitness, how key is that to Arsenal's challenging for the title?
It's massive. He's the best player, or certainly the best attacking player. And without him, that was a huge problem for them last season. And that's one of the reasons why I think they signed Madueke for 50 million. You're almost spending 50 million on a reserve, really. I know he played at the weekend on the left, but he's more suited to the right, Madueke. That's his position. That's where you'll see him at his best in an Arsenal shirt. But ideally, you don't want to see him in his best position, at his best, really, because you want that guy playing. So I think, obviously, it's not as bad as first fear. And no one likes to see any player get injured. It's certainly not one of the best players in the Premier League, which is what he is. But, as I said, they've got decent backup.
We talked a little bit about young players. 18-year-old Esteval, really impressed on the Friday night football for Chelsea. But just looking at West Ham, does that look like a real concern for you, the West Ham and Graham Potter as well?
Yeah, I think for most people looking at it, I think it felt like a concern before the ball was kicked this season. Didn't have a great end to last season. Haven't done much business in the summer transfer window. We know there's still a week, but I do think they will have to get to work over this next week and improve that squad, because they were one who I sort of mentioned last week when me and Gary were doing our predictions, that I felt this was a team that wouldn't be relegated, but will be in that area of huge concern right throughout the season.
You mentioned Spurs. They obviously missed out on Eze, which was a big talking point, but then pretty great result for them against City. Just looking at the City aspect of it, weren't helped, were they, by their defence?
No, and you look at it and you look at the goalkeeper. You have to feel for him. He's been there as a young player. He's gone away to Burnley. He was fantastic last season. So many clean sheets. I think I remember him saving 2 penalties in the one game late on in the season as well. He's almost got his dream move probably back to his club. And it's just one of those games. And we've all been there, especially as young players. And young goalkeepers and central defenders, it can be really tough on them. I've been there myself, where you have a really poor game, you cost the team a result. It's not the same for a striker or a midfield player. You can take them off in the game. They might miss a chance, but someone else can do something. But when you cost the team like that with such a big mistake, and all eyes are on you as a goalkeeper, I really felt for him. I just hope, for his sake, that he gets another chance.